I am Jason Abraham, the Shadow Teacher 33, and I've referenced the book Reality Transurfing many times on my channels. And when I think of surfing, one of the first things that comes to my mind is waves. And then when I think of waves, I think of a force of nature. I think of a force that's going to act on its own regardless of what I do. And when we're looking at surfing, we're looking at harmonizing with the wave. We're learning to ride the wave. And in the world of human potential, much of what we're looking at is to tap into the forces within ourselves to create a desired result in our lives, to make these ripples in the matrix that are favorable to us. And we hear stories of successful people who've gone through times in their lives where they've been able to implement their willpower. Great example is the book I just read, Will, the Will Smith book. Story of someone who was able to outwork all around him to become number one. But much of the time what we hear in these stories is the exertion of will. Eventually it's going to take its toll on the individual, physically, mentally, spiritually. Our willpower is finite. And even those of us with strong wills, eventually we're going to burn out. So this idea of surfing is about understanding how things are, understanding waves, being aware of the waves and the energy, these forces that are bigger than us, around us, and knowing ourselves well enough, knowing how to stay balanced and ride these waves to a favorable outcome. And that is the secret. Awareness of oneself, awareness on what's going on, the bigger themes, the bigger waves that are around us. And when we know ourselves, and kind of going back to this theme of pendulums, these consciousness forms that are big, that feed off of our energy and attention. And when we're looking again at authentic intention, authentic expression in the world, as opposed to being caught up in a pendulum, we have to have that self-awareness. We've got to be aware of who we are, what our values are, and we have to have some techniques of learning how to stay balanced, of knowing how to stay energetically fit so that we don't get swallowed up by a wave or a pendulum. And then when we have that awareness and we have the techniques of balance, then we learn how to find that sweet spot in the wave, and we can ride it out. And we can work in co-creating with these other forces outside of ourselves, with something that's in ourselves, to bring our intention out into the world. And this is transurfing. It's easier said than done. Again, what I find, this awareness, this is a moment-to-moment process, getting aware of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what comes up with us in situations and different interactions with people. And when we have this awareness, again, and we know where we're going, we know which wave we want to ride, what frequency we want to vibe on, we can feel it when someone is not vibing on the same frequency we are. And we can choose whether do we want to try to exert willpower here, try to force something in an unnatural way, or do we want to just take a step back and choose not to engage in that frequency and wait for a frequency or a wave that's more in alignment with what we are and ride that wave out. And a lesson that I've learned is that trying to change other people, it's possible, but It's exhausting. And unless you have the powers of media and perception of the matrix at your fingertips, then it becomes an exercise in futility. But learning how to ride waves, learning how to read frequencies, that's the key. That's the key if you want to be able to successfully make it through the matrix as an individual soul. And it's a work in progress. But the greater you cultivate this power of awareness within oneself, within what's going on out there, what other people are co-creating, and get skillful at riding waves, reading the water, reading the waves, riding the waves, picking the waves, then the greater your chances are of that intentional expression of your being showing up in the world. So that's all for today. Be strong, be well, my friends, and I'll see you on the other side.